Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to read Olivia Acts Out. I have some exciting news, announced Olivia's teacher, Mrs. Hagenmuller. Our class play this year will be the Fairy Queen, and I will play the Fairy Queen, Olivia whispered to her friend Julian. Mrs. Hagenmuller continued, the Fairy Queen will be played by Francine. I bet I get the second biggest part, whispered Olivia. I hope I get to work the curtains, Julian whispered back. That way no one will see me, and the littlest fairy will be played by Alexandra, the teacher continued. Giving out parts took a long time. Finally, there were only 2 roles left to assign, and the only 2 students waiting was Olivia and Julian. Julian was chosen to be tree number 3. He had no speaking lines. Awesome, he shouted, and Olivia, Mrs. Hagenmuller finished, you can be cow number 2. At home, Olivia complained to her family. My part doesn't even have a name. Of course it does, said her mother. You're cow number 2. Now tell us what you say. Moo, Olivia answered. And? Her mother said encouragingly. That's it, Olivia replied in a grumpy voice. Only moo. Well, said her father, just remember it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So Olivia practiced saying it all different ways. She mooed high, and she mooed loud, and she mooed soft. At school the next day, the class practiced the show. It was a disaster. Harold kept facing the wrong direction. Julian was allergic to his tree costume. He sneezed loudly every time Francine tried to recite her lines. I cannot work under these conditions, Francine moaned. I can, Olivia volunteered. Mrs. Hagenmuller clapped her hands. Class, let's take it from the top. From the top of what? Francine asked, puzzled. Mrs. Hagenmuller sighed. That means start at the beginning. So Francine repeated her line to cow number 2. Julian managed not to sneeze, but cow number 2 wasn't paying attention. Olivia imagined the night of the play. Francine is on stage looking out at the beautifully dressed audience. She opens her mouth, but nothing comes out, not even a tiny squeak. Oh no, wails Mrs. Hagenmuller. Francine has stage fright. The play will be ruined. Don't worry, Olivia reassures her. I know every line, every gesture. She takes the center stage and a star is born. And then Olivia remembered she was on stage as cow number 2. Francine was saying, for all your good deeds, little fairy. Moo, interrupted Olivia. Francine tried again. Little fairy, you have earned these fairy. Moo, said Olivia louder. Moo, Olivia, Mrs. Hagenmuller says sternly. There's not a single moo in the script here. But Mrs. Hagenmuller, Olivia protested, I think the cow would be happy for the little fairy. She would definitely moo. She would tap dance too, like this. Back at home, Olivia asked Ian to practice lines with her, but he just laughed. All you say is moo. How much practice do you need? It's not what you say, Ian. It's how you say it. Olivia tried to imagine herself in the spotlight, stealing the show as cow number 2. She said, what have cows ever done that's interesting? Well, Julian replied, there's that one cow that jumped over the moon. You know, hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. That's it, exclaimed Olivia. If you're stuck being a cow, it's good to have a moon to jump over. The big night finally arrived. Everyone was in place on stage, and the curtain went up. I am, Francine began, and then froze. It was just like Olivia's dream. Uh-oh, Olivia thought. Francine needs help. Olivia whispered to her, I am the queen of the fairies. Those words were just enough to get Francine started. I am the queen of the fairies, she said grandly, and the show began. Before long, the play was ending. Olivia's big moment was coming. You, horse, will be Mary. And you, tree, will you be Mary? And you, cow, will you be Mary? Francine asked. Moo, answered Olivia. She leapt up over the moon, then down, down, and side to side, until she landed back on the stage. She grabbed Francine's hand and exclaimed, "The end." The cast bowed. The audience applauded wildly. Back at home, Mother peeked into Olivia's room, ready to tuck her in, but Olivia was already sound asleep, mooing under her breath as she dreamed of jumping over the moon. So Mother just pulled the covers over her and whispered, "Good night, Olivia." The end.